Welcome back to Sunlust. Once again, this is the next map, map 16. This map, if you're not playing the secret maps, is the next hardest map in the original map order. So, that's something to keep in mind if you ignore the secret maps. I'd say it definitely is the most difficult up to this point, because it's more difficult than 15 and more difficult than 10, as well as 13. Anyways, what I'm really trying to do here in the beginning is clear out some space and create a safe haven for myself. However, I have taken a significant amount of damage, which will cause me to play a bit more cautiously. However, this does call into question the whole thing of whether or not people play better with lower health, because for some reason people tend to play better with lower health or something. I'm not sure about that, but it's certainly interesting that people notice this. It's probably because people only see the successful run, usually. You may notice that when I walked over a line in the corner, some incubi respawned. That is not going to be too much of an issue. There's only 2 of them. So I'm pretty sure I just killed them here. And so I am. After this, I plan to get the super shotgun, which is also problematic, as well as the rocket launcher, which is once again problematic. But I have a strategy for that one, so it's a bit easier. Once I get the super shotgun, multiple archviles spawn in, 2 of them, so I just hide in here, which is sometimes a viable strategy. I get a little lucky here. Wait, no I don't. I'm thinking about something else. But they both die eventually. By the way, this is the 3rd attempt. I did not mention it earlier. This is also the finale of the subterranean ruins-like theme episode. And I'd say it's a pretty good finale. It's got this nice MIDI from Castlevania, I believe, which has a sort of sense of, I guess, finality, but not full finality. It's got the sort of sense of, this is the end of the current chapter, but things are about to get a lot harder, which is very much correct. Although it won't be in the next map, unless you don't know what you're doing. Up these stairs is the rocket launcher, but it comes loaded with a bunch of revenants, which teleport in all around the arena, so I decide to go in here. By going in here, I'll lure most of the revenants into a small space to my left. I can see some of them through those bars. And this way I can maximize the splash damage that I can abide by. I'm just trying to lure those guys in. They're not being too cooperative, as you can see. And any that come in here I just have to kill because they're actually dangerous. Not very dangerous, but they're dangerous enough to warrant their own deaths immediately. I probably should have gotten hit by a missile there, but I didn't. so all's better for it. The hardest parts of this map are definitely the beginning and end, because in the beginning there's a lot of stuff going on which is difficult to not take some damage from usually, and at the end, well, you'll see once we get there. And this door is a cyber demon and a bunch of, well, blocking enemies. Hell Knights and Pinkies are really good for blocking the player. So, they're blocking enemies. At this point, I'm just going to get the Cyber Demon to kill everything that's left. Which means these Hell Knights. And now the cyber itself must die. But first, I want the plasma gun, which is inside of here. I'm not really sure where the cyber is right now, so I'm being cautious. But now that I know where it is, I can chop it down with the super shotgun. As well as the plasma gun. I really like the plasma gun sound replacement in Sunlust, and most of Rubik's other maps that he's made. It's much better than the original sound because it isn't incredibly loud, and you can actually hear the music and other stuff that's going on while using it, which is excellent. This area can be dangerous if you don't have a place to hide, so I kill these Menkibai to give me more space, and no problems with enemies behind me. Unfortunately, I take a little bit of damage, but that doesn't matter. Walking down the stairs summons a few revenants. I try and get some of them to infight, but all of them went up the stairs, so I have to lure them back down. And then I end up just killing these two, because of the risk of me getting hit by the Spider Mastermind's firing. And now the Mastermind itself must die. That took longer than I remembered. But now I can get the blue key, both of them. I'm not sure why we need both of them, but I guess it's just more aesthetic or something. So, that works. I'm not sure whether Denobinga or Rubik's made this map, but it very much could have been Rubik's, I believe. This is because of the more curvular architecture in the natural sections, like this area. Denobinga tends to create natural areas a bit differently than this. He uses a lot of shaped columns, like irregularly shaped columns, while Rubik's uses, well, those irregularly shaped columns as well as a large amount of flowing curves. So that's something to keep in mind, I suppose, if you're trying to identify who made the maps. Although there are a fair amount of maps where both of them worked on it, so you can have both of their influences heavily. This may have been one of those maps. However, I believe it is Rubik's who made the base for it. I decide that I don't want to accidentally, well, not accidentally, just waste a berserk pack because it functioned as health, so I slid past it. When I walk forward, 2 chain gunners get released, which can be a problem if you're not ready for it, because there's no cover. However, you can get more rockets here. This area has a lot of pain elementals that spawn in, as well as an archvile on top of the red key switch. So I take out the BFG to instantly kill it. And then I wait for the pain elementals to group up so that I can blast them down with the BFG. I think that this map has the highest enemy count so far in all of Sunlust, although I'm not too sure about that. However, Sunlust tends not to rely on large enemy counts to create difficulty. It usually uses small amounts of enemies in very effective ways. At this point, I decide I want to go back and get a secret from before, because the next fight is probably, well, it's one of the 3 most dangerous in the map. So, I decided that I wanted a bit more health than I currently do. It's not as dangerous as the start or end, however, it still is quite dangerous, and has a large amount of enemies. Once I press these 2 switches, it will release 2 spider masterminds, which are the main cause of pain. Or at least one of the 2 main causes of pain. Over here is the non-secret BFG, and a switch which releases a lot of revenants as well as some archviles. And those archviles are the other cause of pain. So I want to kill them. I don't know how many there are, however many there are can be very deadly. If you strafe back and forth though like this, then you shouldn't have too many problems with the revenants. Over here we have a spider mastermind getting killed by pinkies, which are incredibly effective against them. If you've got like a horde of pinkies and a spider mastermind, then the horde of pinkies will almost always kill spider masterminds because of its large hitbox. They'll trap it, and then it won't be able to do anything, as it's killed slowly. Sometimes you don't even need a horde, you just need a few of them, like there. Hitting this switch, while it raises a lot of things, this is another thing that it raises, that lift to the red key. At this point, I just have to slowly rocket down these archviles. Once I do that, I can proceed onto what I believe is the final fight. Right now I'm looking for health so that I can be fully topped up for it, as I did not use the Soul Sphere or Mega Armor. There are a lot of enemies in a very tight space here. There's some Archviles and Revenants on the left, so what I do is just try and blast through the Hell Knights so that I can have a little more cover from all the enemies. I accidentally pick up a Megasphere, although I don't know if that was accidental because it was a while since I recorded this UVMax. However, I should be good now, most of the time, because I can just rocket these enemies down. As long as I don't consume too many Revenant rockets, I should be fine. Or consume Archvile blasts. Like I just did. However, there's a lot of leeway here, so even if you do consume a lot of those things, you can survive. Hitting this switch will open a switch that opens the gateway to the end, as well as some cells and some Archviles. Things nearly go wrong here, as there were more Archviles than I remembered, so they managed to resurrect a whole lot of Revenants real quickly. But ultimately I prevailed. And everything's good. You may notice that they've changed the theme of the map here to this fleshy theme. That's for the next episode. So, this is probably the longest map so far, although it will not be the longest overall. I'd say that I don't like it as much as the other two maps in the episode. Not sure why that is, but it's pretty much how it is. The next map is the first map of the Fleshy Hell episode, which is quite interesting, I would say, I guess. Anyways, that's just about it. I'll see you in Map 17. Goodbye, and have a good day.